Dear friends, positive psychology is helping human beings to get their optimal functioning. In Indian tradition, Buddhism and yoga also had the same aim and they succeeded. So many of the eminent researchers in today's world are trying to find out the resemblances, similarities and differences between positive psychology and Buddhism and yoga. That's why this lecture is Positive Psychology of Buddhism and Yoga. The reference for the contents of this lecture is the Positive Psychology of Buddhism and Yoga, Path to a Mature Happiness by Marvin Levin. So this book discusses very nicely the similarities and differences between the positive psychology and Buddhism and yoga. Connections between Buddhism and yoga and Western psychology are: both are connected with alleviating inner sufferings. Every human being has got some or the other kind of inner suffering. Very few human beings are able to alleviate all these sufferings. The more alleviation is there, the happier the person will be there. Both are concerned about the human well-being of the humans. They are naturalistic. Both see the human beings as caught in the causal framework in the matrix of forces, cravings and drives produced by biology and beliefs. Both teach appropriateness of compassion, concern, unconditional positive regards towards all human beings. See, if we are taking meal, and after some time, we are again going to get the hunger. That means right meal at right time is essential. It is very difficult to go out of this craving. This is biological craving. As a human being, I want the company of friends around me, at the workplace, in family. I want my personal accomplishment as well. So, unless I cater to these cravings properly, I will not be leading a happy life. And all positive psychology, Buddhism and yoga are trying for happy human life. They have given their cues how a human being can be happy, whatever may be the circumstances around him or her. So maturing with growth is essential. Share the ideal of maturing and growth. Both positive psychology, Buddhism, yoga share. This is interpreted by East and West as, see, greater self-possession is essential. Unless I value myself, self-esteem is essential. A person who is has good self-esteem will only value the self-esteem of others. So it is important that we should value this self-possession. Diminished cravings and agitations are essential. If these are diminished, means the person will definitely be happy. The impulsivity will not be more. All these are helping to reduce the impulsivity. Attachment produces dukkha or cravings. So we have to reduce the attachment. Equanimity to loss is essential, because in human life one cannot avoid loss. Some or the other day, small or big losses will always be there. If I am able to remain composed, and positive psychology stresses that long time before in the Indian tradition, Buddhism and yoga were helping to be composed, whatever may be the circumstances the human being is facing. Acknowledge that the mind functions both at more superficial as well as deeper level. It is difficult to find out how the mind functions. Swami Ramdas Manache Shlok gives this idea. Mastering one's mind is essential for a happy life. An anterior, deeper part of ourself can observe and own mental functioning, giving rise to metacognition, to monitoring of thoughts and emotions. Many times when we are committing mistake, at the back of our mind, we feel that we are committing mistake, but we cannot stop committing that mistake. So this something which is at the back of the mind is the essential self. And we have to understand the functioning of the essential self. This is witness to all the activities. A concept of essential self is implicit in even the most behavioralist formulations in the current positive psychology. Mindfulness and right thoughts are essential for happy living. to pursue subtle emotional states and understand how they relate to happiness or unhappiness. People have strange thoughts. Perfectionism is one such thought. Any kind of work that you are undertaking, you are going to do it the best. See, a person who is very good in arts, is it possible for him all the time to become very good in mathematics? Such are exceptions, and such exceptions always will be there. So we need to reduce the perfectionism approach so that we can enjoy the happiness in our everyday life. Catastrophizing in 180-degree opposite of don't judge stance. Mindfulness means whatever we are doing, we are trying to understand, being a witness. Catastrophizers, they are always trying to see the worst part of any event that is happening. They amplify sufferings. So this is not a very good process. We have to see opposite of that. Pessimism and optimism, these are opposite things. Professor Seligman analyzed the negative thoughts, that is pessimism, into three forms. See, sometimes a small event is occurring and it is bad. We are considering that it is bad permanently. That is not very good. Permanence that is given to a bad event is really bad. That puts you into pessimist mode. Sometimes simple bad things at one point is occurring and we are feeling that the same is everywhere. That may not be the actual case. Everywhere the people may be very good. This pervasive nature is very important. Sometimes I am committing a mistake and then that time onwards, if I am getting the feeling that whatever I do, it will be a mistake, then it's a very bad feeling. This is called as personal indictment. These three feelings are of the pessimist. If I am able to understand this, then I can devise a way to become an optimist. So he characterized this, and opposite of this, he characterized as optimism, and devised interventions to include optimism in one's life. The optimistic thinker focuses on the particular situation, sees it as a problem to be dealt with, and is aware of external contributions to the event. So if the problem is there, and that is not because of my mistake, because of circumstances, the optimist becomes aware of the circumstances and tries to see the context in which the problem has occurred. Whereas pessimists will not do this. Pessimist thinkers tend to be less successful in their careers, as well as they have got poorer health. This is an observation. Problem solving as compassionate action. Emotions in difficult social situations always make people unhappy. Treat any difficult social situation as a problem to be solved. The individual trained to take problem-solving stance is able to be compassionate in any difficult social situation. Most of the time, we react emotionally. Someone frustrates us, then only we lash at it. See, unless I stop, if someone is frustrating and I am trying to be dispassionate, I will not lash at him. If I am not lashing at him, means the relationship between that person and mine will not be disturbed. So this is a great learning. So you will find that all positive psychology, Buddhism and yoga stress this, that whatever is happening to you, look at that event dispassionately, think through all the situations, and then give a response so that the collateral damage when you give the response is minimized. Interpersonal problem solving is important. By becoming angry, one's inner peace is disrupted. The evoked agitation just adds to the unhappiness produced by the situation. In interpersonal problem solving, we want to solve the problem at its root, at its focus, to get rid of the specific pain without producing any side effects. A problem arises when you feel your rights are being violated. So it is necessary that you also are not violating the rights of others. Then only there will be minimum interpersonal problems. And if the problems are not there, there will be less instances of interpersonal problem solving. We must avoid undesirable extremes. With the problem solving stance, you try to correct the situation, but with concern for the other person. You don't want to violate the other fellow's rights. Fear and anger are undesirable extremes. They are states of the agitation or dukkha, and all philosophies say the same thing across the different time periods. Fear and anger risk leading to wrong action, and wrong action always leads to problematic situations. When we are unable to act because of fear, then our rights are sacrificed. So when it is necessary to act, then we should not fear. We have to do all the necessary acts. When we react with unthinking anger, then the other fellow's rights may be needlessly violated. Both situations will lead to wrong actions. The emotions seem to narrow our focus typically on one type of solutions. So the focus on dispassionate looking at the problem is that now emotions are not contaminating the solution that we are thinking through. And when we are taking an objective assessment of the situation and proposing a solution, the possibility that the solution is correct is more, and one tries to do this for a longer duration. With practice, he can master this technique. Thinking of alternatives is important. Fear makes us think that there is nothing to be done, that we are forced to live with bad times. We should not live with bad times, and we should ban fear from our mind. Anger makes us think of punishing the other person, verbally or physically, of threatening and seeking vengeance. Most of the time, we will have to see that without these verbal or physical events, we can solve the problems. So if we are not becoming angry, we will have the strategies available with us. So what alternatives are available to me? So we have to think through these situations, and the alternative solution categories are: there are talking solutions. We can talk to the parties, to the people, and then we can find the solution. Adjustment solutions are there. If we are allowing others to step on our rights, that is an adjustment solution. There are generosity solutions. Sometimes you will feel that you will take the damages, let the situation not deteriorate so that we come into problem. Sometimes pressure solutions also work. Sometimes punishment also is given. Clearly, there are more alternatives than brooding in silence and acting angrily. It is, if you are brooding in silence, you are building inner stress, and in the longer run, it is not very good. If you are acting angrily, then your relationship will be snapped. That means, in first case, it was the positive emotions of the well-being which was getting hampered. In the other case, it is the relationship, engagement, and meaning that is getting hampered. In any solution, in any circumstances, the ultimate currency, which is well-being, is not increasing. So we should try to get the solution. Let's go to talking solution. Talking solutions are typically at the top, requiring the least trouble and risking the fewest side effects. If done properly, they produce fairest results. In extreme inimical situations, this may not be possible, but in everyday life, most of the time, we can get talking solutions. Emphatic assertive as right speech is essential. Presenting yourself. Maintain good eye contact with the people you are trying to talk. Talk in an informal conversational style, even if you are angry. Then it is possible that you can get a talking solution. Use good voice. Speak to be understood using an audible but not loud voice. Avoid the two extremes so that the other person is not feeling that he is getting affronted. Blunt criticism should be avoided at any cost. The person may get the guard up and become defensive, and then he will not try to think through the solution that you are proposing to him. We must acknowledge the rights of others as well. How does one express one's displeasures? By describing, it is possible to express displeasure. Accusation should not be made. We can always describe in the words, it bothers me, I have a problem, instead of accusing the other person. When you want something, ask politely. It means that the person, you are acknowledging the rights of the person to whom you are talking. An important step in getting another person to change is to see that offending person's rights and to acknowledge that he or she has those rights. Once you are acknowledging it, the possibility that that person will give right response is more. We have to avoid fear and anger at any cost. And we can avoid it by evolving a face-saving language. we can keep it light. That means it works best when problem arises suddenly and does not have profound consequences. Temporarily for 5 minutes, you are trying to share a gadget with your friend. So if you are keeping the situation light, then it will not evolve into a complex interpersonal problem. You can bypass the event. You leave the gadget to that boy. After 5 minutes, you can again get it. Sometimes bypassing also can avoid fear and anger. Knowing how to take effective actions helps to fulfill aims of Buddhism and yoga. It helps dispel fear and anger. The aims of the positive psychology are the same. Be attentive and non-judgmental. An emphasis upon an attitude of calm, focused attentiveness without judgment is very important. You are not your mind. The essential self is anterior to your mind, at the back of your mind. The anterior part observes these events dispassionately without judgment. Whether you wish or not, this is happening with every human being all the time. If you are trying to perceive it, you will be able to perceive it. Some people may not be perceive it throughout their life. With practice, this new habit of being attentive and non-judgmental is strengthened, and the people who have strengthened these habits, they attain peace in the long run. It is important to reduce self-indictment. The old habit of self-indictment, along with the pain that accompanies it, gradually diminishes if you are taking a dispassionate view. The thoughts and the feelings may still occur in the daily living, but they become less painful, less disruptive of one's actions. Western psychologists are learning from Eastern views and methods, most recently from Buddhism and yoga, to improve a dispassionate view of the things that are happening around. Handling anger is very important. The Buddha had advised, study within yourself the thing that make you angry, that make anger come, and that make anger go away. If we are minutely observing what is happening in your mind when we are getting angry, and what is happening in mind when the anger is going away, we can handle the anger in a better way. In the long run, we can modify our behavior such that the anger is not coming. Buddha had mastered this, and he has advised all people to master this so that they can live in peace. If one learns to handle anger, there will be general realization to other kinds of disturbances as well. The strategies you can use for the other kinds of disturbance. Many of the emotions that arise out of interpersonal dealings, feeling agitated, intimidated, embarrassed, will be better handled by the techniques that are used for handling the anger. See, you are intensely angry. Y-axis shows that. Or on the x-axis there is duration. If you are intensely angry for a longer duration, the possibility that you will begin hating the person you are angry with will be there. You may become vengeful. This graph shows all the emotional states that we feel. If the intensity of the anger is less and it is for shorter duration, then you are feeling irritation. You are feeling displeased. If the duration is longer but the intensity of the anger is less, then you will feel annoyed. All the emotions that a human being feels when in a state of anger are tried to map on this graph empirically. An emotional state that is usually provoked, that is unpleasant and produces impulse to hurt, criticize, cold attack, the provoking anger. So it is important that anger is symbol of something which is unpleasant. It can take control of our action so that we do or say things which we later regret. So anger, if you is putting you trouble, this is the trouble, that you are indulging in actions which you are going to regret later on. The conditions for provoking anger are, if you are in pain or in frustration, then the anger will be there. Or you are feeling that you are disrespected or injustice is done to you, the possibility that you will be angry is there. So sometimes anger is necessary, but in the right measure only. Individual sensitivities vary to these various sources of anger. Threshold of anger is also very important. The concept of the threshold stems from the study of the senses, where if the energy is small enough, the sense of organ won't respond. If somebody is speaking in a very weak voice, if I am not listening, then it is beyond my threshold of hearing. That kind of thing is, see, the situation is not too irritable and you are able to cope with it without getting irritated, you will not be angry. In irritable mood, we generally have a low threshold of anger. When you are already irritated and then a small unpleasant event occurs, the possibility that you will be angry is more. So we have to look ourselves. We have to look through our personality and what is the threshold of anger we perceive. Once we perceive this threshold of anger, we can have better control over the anger. The anger threshold is generally lowered by fatigue and in the noisy environment. Basic biology of anger is that the central nervous system consisting of brain, spinal cord is associated with perception, thought, memory and awareness. The autonomous nervous system is the network attached to and surrounding the spinal cord. The autonomous nervous system carries out much of the automatic housekeeping operations in the body, that is controlling the heart, glands and the arteries. Autonomous nervous system works in two opposing directions. When we are relaxed, it slows the heart and the breathing facilitates the digestion. And redistribution of the blood happens. It goes away from the limbs and it goes into the muscles. When we are under stress or anger, the autonomous nervous system acts in the opposite direction. It speeds up the heart and breathing, inhibits the digestion and sends the blood to the limbs, preparing the body for the action, because it is important to save our life rather than to have digestion of the food. Stimulus and central nervous system. It is very important to understand this. See, only the item number 6 and 7 this slide, that is acceleration and breathing and increasing muscle tension, is common between these two. The autonomous nervous system controls acceleration of the heart, redistributes the blood to the muscles, inhibits salivation, it inhibits digestion, dilates pupil, accelerates breathing and increases muscle tension. Whereas internal organs are heart, gland, muscles, lung, arteries and digestive systems. How we respond to stimulus is very important. The brain interprets the incoming sense information, a provocation, and sends signal to autonomous nervous system. The autonomous nervous system is never directly affected by the external stimuli. The brain cannot, except very indirectly, cause our pupil to dilate, our blood to redistribute, and our salivation to stop. So it has only autonomous control, nervous control has got the ability to control it. Counteracting aroused autonomous nervous control helps us in getting control. The brain and autonomous nervous system have some direct and immediate control over breathing. We can slow down and speed up our breathing voluntarily, which is what is stressed in yoga, which is what is stressed in Buddhism, and positive psychology is adopting such strategies to handle human well-being. We can tense and relax our muscles at will. If we look at the different yoga postures, you will find that this is the way the people are trying to gain control over the bodies. There is no other way of getting control over the body. By deep and slow breathing and by practicing relaxing the muscles, we might counteract the aroused autonomous nervous system activity to the relaxed state. So, by having control over the breathing and by relaxing muscles, training the muscles to relax in difficult situations all the time, then in even difficult situations we can get control. Commit wholeheartedly to the task of becoming less irritable and reactive, more light-hearted and more imperturbable. So that gives us control over the anger. Orientation, why am I getting angry? What can I do? Instead of that, try to understand the event of that is giving you anger and try to learn that it is a teacher. Is it possible for me to learn from this teacher how to master the anger? Broaden your notion of acceptable. What is acceptable? Once you are broadening the zone of what is acceptable, the moments of anger will be minimized automatically. Come to know yogic state, breathing slow and inner calmness prevails. Many times when one is angry and trying to have few deep breaths, automatically the inner calm prevails and he will be able to thinking through the situations and the side effects of the anger will be reduced. It is important to be realistic so that we face the world boldly. We cash on all the opportunities that are in our way. Not only that, we are trying to help others around us to be realistic and we must progress ourselves along with the progress of the people around us. Come to know your mind. Practice to become more aware of bodily changes, feelings and thought. Change your habits of reacting anger mode to a dispassionate mode. It is possible by practicing the yogic postures or Buddhism techniques or positive psychology. All these techniques will be able to help us to overcome the anger mode and we will be in the dispassionate mode. If we are all the time in the dispassionate mode, we will be realistic about the magnitude of the task, and once whatever task that we are undertaking, we are realistic about it, the stress will not be there of the work or whatever the circumstances under you are, and this will help you in progressing in your life very well. See, to become a successful professional, it is essential that you must learn to overcome fear and anger. There will be many situations in which fear and anger are unavoidable, because we know that the person who works amid fear, he only can work on any realistic problem. Why I was stressing to be realistic is because in real world, when you are working on real problems, the possibility that you will be feeling angry and you will have fear, some kind of fear, whether you will be able to complete the task or not complete the task. It is realistic unless we deliberately make efforts to overcome these fear, or we are becoming ourselves very effective to work in presence of this fear as well as in anger. That will help us in growing professionally. I wish all my students to acquire these qualities so that in the long run they are becoming professionally successful. I extend my best wishes to all the people and thank you.